Since my previous post back in May, the YouTube channel Caedes has uploaded 10 more videos, all spanning to well over an hour of new footage. To those who didn't watch my previous videos on this mysterious little channel, let me give you some backstory. The Caedes YouTube channel started publishing videos well over 2 months ago, and has amassed a massive 40,000 subscribers. But why? Well, many people have been intrigued by not only the ambiguous storyline of these videos, but the references to Christianity and Judaism. For more information on this channel, I'd recommend watching either my previous video that I uploaded 2 months ago, or this video by Caaligo, which is admittedly not only more in depth than mine, but also better produced. Before we jump back into this vague but well thought out series, I'd like to briefly mention that I will not be covering everything in these videos, because I want to encourage you guys to watch these videos for yourselves. The link to Caedes Channel will be in the description. But I digress. Video 9. The 9th video is 5 minutes long and starts off already ambiguous. The world seems to be distorted, almost as if something has blown it to pieces. There is no sky, and almost feels like the player is in a different dimension. Some editing tricks throw you off guard, and then this happens. I get that it's edited in and it's meant to unnerve you, but it still makes me more depressed than anything. There doesn't seem to be a shade of happiness in this entire series. This goes on for some time. SE Alt 123 and Kusuk Kok Basi. This is interesting because they're referencing to players, not people. To me, this suggests that this whole series is contained within the jar file, that there is no outside message. I really do hope that's the case. References to Christianity and Judaism aside, I really do hope that this ARG doesn't stray away from Minecraft altogether. I have seen that in a few ARGs where the creators get carried away by trying to shock people, but this series has been consistent throughout, and since the beginning has pointed at Christianity as a source for its horror. I'm not going to comment too much on whether it's the right thing to do, to use Christianity, Mary and Jesus within a fictional series. I'm just documenting on what I see, and what I believe this series is trying to convey. The player then endures nearly a minute of horrific sounds and PNG spam, and then it cuts to this. Now we see this. Does this look familiar to you? Well, it should. In my previous video we saw this drawing. This seems to be the exact same event, but what actually happened. Assuming again that this is all meant to take place in Minecraft and isn't meant to be a recreation of anything outside of the game. What's interesting now is that we see who is who. Secundus, Primum and Morse are in front of the player, with Christ on the cross in front of him. Morse pushes Christ's crossover and then the players turn into cobblestone crosses. There seems to be a common theme in all of these videos, besides the Christianity, is that every video ends with this unknown entity reminding the player of their sins. It's heavily implied that the entity is God himself. Video 10. You may want to turn down your volume because this video starts off loud, and is not so easy on the eyes. The player is on the title screen and sees 2 of the same pictures of Christ, just one is flipped. The player obviously starts off in a new world. Be warned that this video is my least favourite of all of them so far, only because for a brief moment we get a Wikipedia link that leads to a real event that happened a little over 4 years ago in April of 2022. I really do not want to talk about this. If you want to know more about the Buka massacre, you can go look into it yourself, but do take precaution as this is a real event that did happen, and it was not that long ago, and people did die. This is not just a Minecraft ARG, the editor put this link in for a reason. Some more links are placed in this video relating to the files of a particular person who we all know, and after a minute of gameplay we get this drawing of Christ with a message, "Do not touch him," and then some coordinates that leads to the Colosseum in Rome, Italy. How ironic is it that I've just said that this series all takes place within Minecraft, but clearly it doesn't. After this we get some real world footage that isn't Minecraft gameplay, but it's seemingly from an old camera. To me, on the left that looks like multiple floors, possibly in a block of apartments. I have no clue what that is on the right. It looks like either a mask or a crucifix, just like the middle part. A small shout is heard and then the video ends. I really do not want to see more real world footage in the series. nor references to real world events, especially if they are quite recent. What is the reason for putting in some of these links in? They don't relate to anything in the series, at least I hope they don't. Perhaps it's the correlation of guilt in the real world and in this series. Either way, I hope I can continue to talk about this ARG without getting too much into real world events. Video 11. Video 11 is nearly 10 minutes long and the first half of it is genuine Minecraft gameplay. After 4 minutes, player joins, and the one filming is walking on a redstone path in the pitch black, although there is a storm. This goes on until the player recording reaches a netherite gate. If you have photosensitive epilepsy, you may want to close the video, or if you just hate having your eyes abused, look away now. This goes on for nearly 4 minutes. To prevent blinding you guys, I will recap on this event by screenshotting segments and then giving my input. The player recording is in the Nether and is being abused by harsh lighting and effects. My guess is that this is meant to be a depiction of hell, considering that's what the Nether actually is. The player is told to die by a button found in a chest, and then player finds another player stuck in a cell. The player says save me, and then Morse joins and kills the player in the cell. The player recording is told many times that the level is corrupted, but the player is somehow able to continue playing. The player stumbles across multiple threatening signs, and then Morse appears in front of him. Morse does an unnatural turn towards the player recording, and the video ends. Video 12. Video 12 is interesting because it starts off on the regular Minecraft home screen, and is running version Minecraft Alpha version 1.2.6. This version released in December of 2010. In my previous video I theorised that the recordings were taking place during the Halloween update of 2010, around October 30th 2010. I'm not sure if that's true or not because they did hide the version on purpose up until this point. However, what is true is that because Caedes features links from the modern era into his videos, they're at least edited in recently. The recordings, however, look like they were recording back in 2010. The video is in 480p, the aspect ratio is off, and the videos are in low frame rate. But who knows? The date of the raw footage is yet to be determined. However, I digress. The player recording joins the server and there is no sound, but Primum, Tertia and Secundus are also here. The player recording is Morse. This is actually quite a nice video, and if it had sound it would feel a little bit more nice. Based on how calm the server feels, my only guess is that this takes place before everything we've seen so far. But then that would completely rule out my theory from my previous video where I said that this takes place during the Halloween update. Anyhow, it's not that important. 7 minutes into the video, Primum starts talking about a strange new version of Minecraft. Based on this entire conversation, we can at least tell that these players are not meant to be depictions of real people from the past. I hardly believe people were saying thanks bro in the early 1st century. There is a chapel a bit further from the village and the players begin praying. Morse doesn't pray, but does go into the chapel and throws some bacon into a hole. A lamb jump scares Morse and then a message appears which translates to do not blindly believe. I believe the jump scare was placed there as a joke because the sheep mob randomly walked into the chapel, but some people refer to the sheep in Minecraft as lambs, or sheep generally. And as we know in Christianity, the lamb is a symbol for Jesus Christ and his sacrifice, innocence, and his role as the ultimate atonement for humanity's sins. I may be reaching now. There is also a drive in the description that has some rather odd features, such as a picture of a child and his father, who I will censor because I strongly believe these to be actual people. I do not know that these people in this picture consented to be in it in the first place. I have no idea who these people are. I think they could be related to the creator of the channel. They might actually be the son of a person recording. I don't know. I don't know who they are, but I'm censoring them. There's a few cryptic messages and a WAV file that supposedly says, "Father is dead," when ran through a spectrogram analyzer. Video 13. Video 13 was released on June 3rd, 2026, so a little over a month ago, and it's the longest video on the channel so far. This video is completely different and the text is in a language I have never seen before. I don't even think this is an actual language, but I couldn't find anything. The hearts are all black. For a brief moment, half a Google Drive link appears. I will just say now that I do not guarantee the safety of these Drive links. I'm not going to look in them as I'm too scared. And none of the commenters were able to decipher what the Drive file actually is. It's also odd that a Minecraft skeleton face or skull flashes 6 times while the player hits nothing. Whether that means anything, I'm not sure. Could be referring to dead people, I just don't know. The player struggles to leave the game and then eventually the game crashes, leading to this error. At the moment, your version is infected. In order to maintain security, we will automatically transfer you to a more stable version of the game to protect your health. Very interesting indeed. I really like this because it doesn't rely on just editing tricks to throw you off, but let's continue. What the We went from this random version seemingly taking place pre-logo change in early 2011 to Minecraft version 1.7.10, which didn't release until June 26, 2014. 12 years ago. That is at least a 3-year time jump. The player joins World 1. Now, if you look closely before the player joins, we see a date from when the world was last modified. 10 to 7 in the late evening of 3rd of June 2026. That is when this video was posted. The date format is day, month, year, meaning that the game is likely the European version. This changes everything. This is the version from June 2014, but it's being played 12 years later. But why? I get it's common to use old versions to portray ARGs, but why this ARG? Is there a purpose for this? Or is it just because the base game, 10 to 15 years ago, is potentially easier to create a storyline around for an ARG series, as opposed to the present day version which to some people has way too many features. It also has relevance and too much substantiality for it to be modified for an ARG and comes across less believable. This is further proven by my favourite ARG series, Minecraft Alpha 1.0.16 versions. This series was very well made and actually had people believe that these branch versions could have actually existed. For those who don't know, without going too much off topic, this series takes place within 2010 and is meant to imply that these developers left the main branch of developers for Minecraft or Mojang and made their own game. It was actually quite believable, hence why it got so popular. It was also very well made. There's also another reason why ARG creators may use old jar files to create storylines around. Nostalgia bait. I know people may not want to hear it, but a lot of these ARG videos rely on the past. Memories. And what better way to utilise that by using old jar files that the viewers could recognise and reminisce on. I know this to be true because I have thought the same, considering I started playing Minecraft in late 2010, albeit on a dying computer. Sorry, I know I've gone really off topic, but I feel like it needed to be said. I actually quite like this video. The gameplay reminds you that to the core, this is Minecraft. C418's Living Mice starts playing and Caedes cuts down some trees. Seems to be a staple of Minecraft ARGs at this point, that every person recording cuts down some trees. Nothing really happens until 10 minutes into the video. Caedes is paranoid, is looking outside and is waiting for something. This goes on for nearly a minute. Caedes may potentially just be AFK. They make a boat and some signs and then writes this. In iter perfectus sum, which translates to I have set out on a journey. Actually quite a nice little message. Hopefully Caedes doesn't regret this. Caedes gets in a boat and finds a village. Caedes builds another home in the village and it seems nice. But then this happens. A code is placed on the screen for a singular frame and the video flips and is redshifted. Moors is watching the player from the top of a house and scares Caedes. Moors starts by burning down the village whilst Caedes builds a crucifix out of birch wood, and Moors stares directly into Caedes' eyes before vanishing. The village burns badly, but the villagers are kept alive. Moors is a sinner and commits arson on the village without hesitation. The video ends. Video 14. The video starts off on the Minecraft menu screen again, on version 1.7.10. Caedes showcases his house and his bread, and we see a huge block. To me this looks like a chunk issue or a giant dirt block. This is interesting. Caedes opens a book and quill, and this opened book texture is different from the usual texture. This paper looks more like a parchment from the Middle Ages, or papyrus scrolls from the Egyptian times. The list of things to do seems more like an excuse to write something. Bro wants to pet a dog. The sun rises and is in a different texture. Something is partially blocking the sun. But what? The moon? I don't think so. Caedes runs to the giant block and is actually just a massive dirt block stretching seemingly from the block height limit. Caedes opens the dirt structure and finds a glowstone crucifix with other smaller crucifixes. A small sound is heard, but I don't see anything spooky yet. Caedes goes down a ladder to a torch-filled hole with levers that don't seem to be doing anything. There are two paths Caedes can choose to go down. Caedes chooses the middle one. Caedes is reluctant and holds his iron sword ready. Some water can be heard, and Caedes finds a chest with a book written by Moors with the title -316. A whirling sound plays as if something has just activated, and Caedes runs away scared. The sound stops when Caedes reaches the top and closes off the dirt structure of wood, but not completely. I believe this is because Caedes is curious and wants a way to peek inside without closing it off completely. Caedes rushes into his house and reads the book. It's in Latin, but it translates to this. With this reading, the countdown to the day of judgment will begin, when the world will suffer and water will once again turn into blood. A star is much more than a point in the sky. Amen. There are 49 pages that are completely blank. Caedes is frightened and blocks off his windows, but not entirely. Caedes has his iron sword ready. He tries to quit and then is jump scared by Sun. I think this series is literally about accountability and facing your sins. But why is Caedes being harassed now though? Where is Moors in this video? Video 15. Video 15 is only 40 seconds long and features the player walking up a staircase to a distorted crucifix with some weird ambience in the background. The player struggles to pick up the book but eventually does, and it translates to this. The boundaries between the world of sinners and that of angels are blurred, under the active influence of someone or something. If the star comes true, as I fear, it will then be the end of not only the world of games, but also the end of innocent reality. There have already been manifestations of the energy from angels from the world of saints. There seems to be a lot more talk about the sun as of these past few videos. Video 16. Video 16 is 13 minutes long and starts off with the player seeing his house being destroyed and invaded by an upside down crucifix. There's bedrock in the player's house, and he obviously cannot break it, but something interesting is downstairs. A solid black texture imposed on the walls. The player brushes it off and goes back upstairs to see that the sun is now half a texture. Whatever is covering the sun can't be the moon because it's seemingly either a lot bigger than the sun or so close to the world that it appears bigger in perspective. The sun vanishes and a cave sound is heard. The player goes downstairs and hears a few more cave sounds before seeing that the sun is potentially going supernova. The player realises that these are not black blocks on the wall, but are actually one by one paintings of a solid black colour. Something interesting to note is that the stone shovel the player has is renamed to a stone spade. The reason for this is yet to be determined. The player secludes parts of the house, but not entirely. This is so they can tell what's going on outside. They want to prevent being confronted, but want to know what's going on. Things shift red for a moment before this happens. It's actually quite beautiful. Something funny happens. Player and a villager have a quick glance at it, and then the player tries to interact with the villager before walking down to an upside down crucifix. A cave sound can be heard when walking up to this glowstone crucifix, and I get it's meant to be spooky, but it does look quite nice. The camera slightly shakes, then the 13 disc plays, but slightly slowed down and pitched down. I hope those villagers will be okay. The player secludes his house but goes out anyway. I think the player is starting to get pissed off and decides to investigate the dirt block structure again. Big mistake, idiot. Unfazed by this, the player continues down. Now the front pathway is gone. The entire chunk has been taken away, but some water does fall down in front of it, likely caused by the cave above him. Caedes blocks it off but not completely, and chooses to go down the left path. A bat can be heard a few times, but the player goes down. A few redstone torches can be seen. Could Herobrine really be the cause of all of this? Something that does interest me is how this is all designed. Quite a nice gift has been left, including 4 stacks of raw pork and 6 stacks of glowstone. A book has also been left again. Caedes blocks off the path. I think he does this so he doesn't upset the entity by closing it off completely. Or maybe because he intends to go back down there at a later point in time. Another cave sound can be heard before everything goes to black and white. And when the player enters his home, he reads a book which translates to: "The boy who dared not obey the will of God suffered the penalty of losing his soul. He is no longer human. His will is destined for eternal misery. Here's some dark and nefarious plan. There's also 50 pages in this book, but something that is interesting is from page 43 onwards, it's just Moore's name with number variations going all the way up to Moore's 136. On page 47, Moore's 136 is written twice, once as a final variation, then repeated again as if to substantiate that this is the Moore's that is important. This is the same Moore's 136 that we've been watching in these videos. Whilst the video saturation returns, a sound can be heard and then Caedes just wanders around the house for a bit and then the video ends. Moore's is definitely the main antagonist in this series. From the beginning I thought it was meant to be about God punishing everyone, but it seems like God wants to punish Moore's for seemingly good reason. This is all speaking within the context of Minecraft, what Moore's has done on the Minecraft server, not in real life. At least, I think. Video 17. Video 17 starts off redshifted and some interesting things happen. I can't really make out what that is above the player. It looks a bit unsettling. A gas streak can be heard, and there is a bedrock crucifix. The player walks towards a red shape that seems to let out radiation. The world starts crumbling around the player. The player goes down to the same hole with the torches because they simply have nowhere else to go. And they find that one of the levers opens up to a chest with coordinates for Moore's. This says where the third tunnel is located. They find a secret ladder and go to a dark and gloomy pit at bedrock. A few red flashes happen and then the player finds another chest with a book from Moore's with the title Anima Diversio, which can mean punishment or censure. When the devil shall have revealed his true nature in the star, immediately ascend through the pipes. This alone is the way to salvation. Know please, that this will lead to So the book basically implies that the devil is here, but the pipes in this underground area are the only way to be protected, or to be rescued from sin. It's interesting that Moore's is the one leaving this book. Can his word really be trusted at this point? How interesting. Get out of there. For a split second we see some binary that says see you tomorrow, and then tomorrow deliver the final video. Video 18 is the final video on this channel so far. As of writing the script and editing this, there is no more videos. But video 18 is a minute-and-a-half recap video. It goes all the way up to recording 17. The date of the videos, and then the bottom right it says some text correlating to what happens in these videos. This is interesting because none of the videos actually have titles. Recording 1 implies that Caedes is a sinner, recording 2 refers to Caedes meeting Moore's for the first time, recording 3 is about Jesus, recording 4 is about an unknown message from Caedes. There are a few more if you want to see for yourself, but the important one is about the devil eating the sun. This is what we saw in the final view videos. I appreciate this sort of usage of the lore because it's not actually based on anything, just made up for the sake of entertainment, at least from what I can see. I really like this series and I love the way it's going. I think it's very, very interesting. I was reluctant with the whole usage of real world events. You know, it's not, I don't think it's good to do that. I get it's like to correlate between guilt and stuff, but I just think there was a better way to do it in my opinion. A lot of people in the comments agree with me that it's getting a bit dark when you use things like that, but if they continue to do it, that's fine by them. It is a good way to show guilt. That's about it from this video. I strongly recommend you watch this channel for yourself. Remember to take precaution with the links provided on screen or in the description. Use your own discretion because I cannot guarantee the safety of these links. However, I really do like this series and I hope to see more in the future. Over the 2 months I've seen the series become more and more interesting and I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you all for the support on the previous video. Again, if you haven't watched it then I highly recommend. And thank you to Caedes for these very well thought out videos. Supposedly there is a Discord server dedicated to this incredible work. I don't know if that actually exists, but if it does, let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.